Most of the world knows it as Easter Island. In South America, it is Isla de Pascua, but the local people call it Rapa Nui. Rapa Nui is considered the most isolated inhabited place in the world. Its closest neighbors are Chile to the east and Pitcairn Island to the west. DNA studies have confirmed that it was Polynesian explorers who first arrived on the island sometime around 800 AD. By the early 17th century, as many as 12,000 people lived in villages dispersed around the island. Dominating each of these villages were the towering stone heads that have made Rapa Nui famous, the giant statues known as moai. Exactly why the Rapa Nui built these heads is still a mystery, but it is believed that they were built to honor ancestors, chiefs, or gods. The statues were placed upon platforms called ahu, with their backs to the sea, looking over villages that they were supposed to protect. The heads were carved from hardened volcanic ash, and most reach heights of 12 to almost 30 feet. Their distinct appearance, unique in the world, varied little from statue to statue, from generation to generation. Always just the head and upper torso, the elongated nose and prominent brow, the grim, solemn expression. Many of the later moai were given pukeo, or top nuts, carved from a rock with high iron content, giving them a distinct red color. The pukeo represented the hairstyle commonly worn by Rapa Nui men. It is believed that the statues may have had eyes carved from white coral, but no evidence of this theory has been found. The eyes in this statue are reproductions. In fact, there is only one original eye in existence now, kept in Rapa Nui's museum. Rapa Nui has long been considered an island with many mysteries. How did they move these enormous heads that weighed up to 80 tons from the quarry to places up to 6 miles away, then lift them into place? How did a lush island once covered in giant palm trees become almost completely barren? What can explain the archaeological evidence of warfare, famine, and cannibalism? And why did every moai on the island, nearly 1,000 of them, come toppling face down into the ground? By the late 1600s, the Rapa Nui culture was in severe decline. The land was no longer able to sustain the population. It is now believed that the key to Rapa Nui's tragic history is the giant palm tree that once covered nearly 70% of the island. Like the ancient Egyptians before them, the islanders used large logs to roll the enormous stone from the quarry. The logs were also used as levers and ramps to help stand the stone upright and into place. But why, over hundreds of years, couldn't the giant palm reseed and replenish the forests? The answer is the Polynesian rat. Unfortunately, its favorite food was the sweet nut of the giant palm. As the rat population grew, they devoured the nuts in such quantities that, along with the islanders' incessant felling of trees for their own purposes, the giant palm was doomed. The lack of reefs around the island meant that tuna and dolphin could only be caught in deeper water, but no trees meant no canoes. Erosion on the now exposed land created rocky and depleted soil. Crops failed. Warfare and starvation ensued. In 1721, a Dutch expedition landed on Rapa Nui and named the island in honor of the holy day on which they arrived, Easter Island. In 1770, a Spanish expedition reported seeing some toppled moai, but most were still standing. But just 4 years later, when Captain James Cook stopped for food and water, he found nothing to replenish his ship's supplies. He also reported that just a few moai were now standing, most having been toppled. The era of the moai was over, and like the giant palm before them, the Rapa Nui were headed for extinction.